So, Horatio M. Bennett has written another book. Big deal. Whoa, 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 hold on. This is not just about another book. This is about the passion, struggles, and tenacity of a people who is determined to make this world a better place than when they found it. So let's get into my story and how I actually came to write reggae, the musical philosophy that changed the world. And of course, the story behind writing this book. Now, documenting a story can be thrilling, yet it's not without challenges. Before anything else, one needs to have a story and the ability to tell or write it. For me, the first step was finding motivation, which is a very essential ingredient. Anyway, I had a story, my life experiences in reggae music, which form the foundation of my document. However, despite living through various experiences, I somehow lacked the drive to put them into writing. I didn't see much importance in sharing the intricate details of the process. I just wanted the story to be documented. At this stage, let me encourage everyone who has a story to begin writing if they haven't already done so. Because if you don't write your own story, someone might write it for you and you may not like what is written. So, my advice is to write it the way you want it to be told. During my time as a newspaper publisher and radio broadcaster, I often reference my involvement with reggae music. It was a central part of who I was. In fact, I became so immersed in the music and its culture that I didn't fully recognize the personal impact it was having on me. This journey was, in many ways, already shared with the public via my public performances as a newspaper publisher and a radio broadcaster. And so, to bring this story into perspective, my wife, Dr. Odetta Allen Bennett, who was working on her own book titled The Audacity to Reach Higher from the Cotton Fields to a PhD, she often immersed herself so deeply in her writings that I found myself questioning the amount of time she spent on her project. And whenever I brought up the subject, she frequently encouraged me to start writing my own story. Of course, she was not really encouraging me, but rather it was a rebuke to get off her back and go find something else to do. Ironically, over the past 3 years, I managed to complete five full length books across various genres. Now, Dr. Bennett was just 3.5 years into my life after my involvement with reggae music had mostly faded. I had been a radio broadcaster, a newspaper publisher, and a reggae musician for many, many, many years, starting in Jamaica in 1957. Reggae music was at the core of my life until I became a born again Christian in the early 80s, which shifted my focus entirely. I was still living in my community where everyone knew my story. It was practically the neighborhood's worst kept secret. So it was almost laughable that my wife of nearly 4 years managed not to stumble across my reggae escapades. Well, for reasons I could never quite grasp, when she did learn about my varied involvement in reggae music, she was intrigued and kept asking me why I wasn't documenting my experiences, especially since I was already so engrossed in writing. And every time she raised the topic, I brushed her off with all the finesse of a person dodging chores. And then it happened. One night while we were lying in bed and chatting, the kind of casual brainstorming where I shamelessly picked her PhD level brain, she sneakily brought up reggae music. She started asking me questions nice and easy. Of course, remember that this lady has a doctorate in social services, so she was rather quite depth in asking questions to evoke the answers she wants. Well, unbeknownst to me, I was spilling the beans, happily answering without realizing she was secretly recording the entire conversation on her cell phone. The next day, she played back the recording, and I was surprised. Not just because she had recorded me, but because I sounded ridiculously knowledgeable. Well, who knew I had all that information rattling about in my peanut brain? She seized the moment to ask yet again why I wasn't writing my own story. Only this time I knew where she was going with this, and so in response I asked, all right, where is the pen and paper? But here's the twist. I didn't want to write about reggae as just another music genre. To me, reggae was so much more. As a philosopher and psychologist, life student, I was captivated by the music's ability to influence people, its profound purpose, and the brilliance of its artists. And so I began writing Reggae, the musical philosophy that changed the world. Now, please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video with your family. There's some buttons down there that say subscribe, like, and share. As we expound on the effect that reggae music has on the world stage, the philosophy of love, peace, and oneness. See you in the next script. In the coming months, I will be making repeated posts on the subject of reggae music and how it's changed as so much everywhere. So I am asking you if you would subscribe, like, and share, and there's a button someplace down there that says subscribe, like, and share. And if you would do that for me, I really would appreciate